This is a must-have book set for newborn babies. It is called Baby's Very First Little Black and White Library, and these books have high contrast pictures in them. You know, babies' eyes can't see very well when they're first born, and so these high contrast pictures and books and black and white things are much more engaging for them to look at. And when I read to my newborn baby, I move the book around, and so they're practicing tracking with their eyes. And as your baby starts getting older, you know, these are great for helping them learn the different vocabulary words of fish and cow and whatnot. So definitely a must-have for new babies. Here is a few of the books from our That's Not My series, and these books are so great for babies. There is wonderful textures in all of them, contrasting colors, nice thick black lines, and that's really good for baby's eye development. As your baby's starting to get older and learning words, it's got great vocabulary, and it has rough and fluffy, and the textures match whatever word it's saying. There's also a hidden mouse on each page. And then as your child's continuing to get even older, these books are nice because as they're learning how to read, they're able to read a lot of these books because the words are nice and simple and repetitive. That's not my monkey, its tail is too velvety. That's not my monkey, its feet are too smooth. So the same pattern repeats over and over again. So they're excited about being able to read the pages. So definitely a great series, and there's so many different kinds too. Here are our Shine a Light books, and these books are absolutely incredible. We have an apple tree one, a seashore one, and a rainforest one. Basically, you read the story and you take a flashlight and shine it behind the page, and more things start to appear in the picture. So not only are these books fun, but they're also educational as well. The apple tree one teaches you about all the life that you can find around an apple tree. The seashore talks about the different things that you can find along the seashore. And the rainforest one teaches you about the animals and the bugs and other things that you can find in a rainforest. So these are definitely very fun and interactive books that make kids want to read it over and over again. A lot of people buy these books as a gift because they're so different and unique, and a lot of times they might pair a flashlight with it too to make it a nice gift set. So I absolutely love these books and I highly recommend them. This is called My Wild Animal World, and there is a similar one about farm animals. In this case, there are 9 different books, and each book tells what the animal is called, where it lives, what the baby is called, what it eats, and what sound it makes. And as you can see, they're really cute little books that are easy for babies to open and close. And as your baby starts to get older, it turns into a fun little matching game because they can match the pictures to the correct spots. Here are 2 of Usborne's baby playbooks. This one is about animals. These are really nice. There's textures to feel and holes in some of the pages. And I don't know if you can tell, but they're actually layered as well. The ants are a little bit below the other page. And then here's the colors one, and this one actually has some flaps in it. And it's layered like the other one, and also some great textures for the babies as well. Usborne has a handful of noisy books, and this one is Noisy Robots. I love the noises that this one makes. So this noisy robot is tightening its bolts. This noisy robot is pressing its buttons. So I just love the noises that they make, and kids love to have books where they get to push buttons, and it helps them sit still a little bit longer when they have something to actually physically do in a book. Here is Usborne's very first book of things to spot, and this is a great book for, I would say, maybe toddlers or, you know, babies that are starting to learn how to talk. It's got great questions throughout it. Find the smallest toadstool, who's wearing red boots, which owl has stripes on it. So it's good for those toddlers and language development because you're starting to talk about things, but it's also good for preschoolers because you're kind of working on visual discrimination, you know, which one's different, which one's taller, which one's bigger, you know, which car has 2 passengers, spot the truck full of carrots. So lots of great learning information, and it's a good kind of cuddle up book where you can just sit with your child and talk to them, and Usborne's done all the work for you. It has all the different questions that you can ask your child. Here's a really neat baby book called Baby's Very First Slide and Sea Animals, and they have these little tabs on each of the pages that you or the baby can slide back and forth, and things appear in the pictures and things disappear. And here's this page. There's little words that you can read along the way, and there's also kind of different layers on each of the pages as well. So very cute, very fun and interactive book to do with your baby or even toddler. Here's a book from our My Very First series. This is the space book, and we also have a dinosaur one and a castle one. And these are awesome nonfiction books for younger kids. There's not too much to read in it, so it's easy to just read through it in one sitting. It's got great information that's engaging for kids. You know, here it talks about living in space, and earlier in the book it talked about all the training that they have to do to become an astronaut. So great book, packed full of good information, and my son just loves to sit and look through the pictures and loves all the little chunks of information he can learn from it. I really like the series of books I Want to Be. This one is I Want to Be a Lion Tamer, and it's about a lot of different jobs that deal with animals. And on each page, you know, it says, when I grow up, I want to be, and it goes through different jobs that deal with animals. So a zookeeper, a pet groomer, an animal rescue volunteer. And on each page, it also gives you a little bit of information about what that job might include. So here, a marine biologist. I'll work at an aquarium with lots of fish. I'll study animals and plant life from the sea, and I'll even discover a new type of sea creature. Or maybe I want to be, and then, you know, it has all these other jobs. And what I think is neat is at the end of the book, it says, I can be any of these things when I grow up, but I don't need to decide just yet. I can just enjoy playing with my pet. So I think it's kind of fun that kids can dream about what they want to be when they grow up, but it tells you that they don't have to decide yet, which is kind of a fun idea too. Here is our Pullback Busy Bug book, and this book is so much fun. So there's reading that you do throughout the book, and I love how it has great positional words in it, like between, around, beside, on, over. So great for practicing those. And each of our Pullback books comes with something that you can pull back. So you pull it back, set it on the track, let go, and off it goes. So it's very fun for the kids. This is such a fun book called Muddle and Match. This one is our adventure one, and we also have an Imagine one. Basically, there are pages, and they are broken down in thirds. You can read them like normal, or you can mix and muddle with it and create your own silly version of the story. From a secret learning standpoint, I love all the awesome alliteration in the book. I'll read you this first page. It says, Pete the plunky pirate pleads with Percy, his peculiar parrot, to prepare to paddle the Pacific. So awesome alliteration on every page. Wonderful for kids who are practicing and learning their letters and letter sounds. Great for kids who are learning about beginning sounds and words. So not only a fun book, but also has some secret learning in it as well. This is a really neat colors book. There are lots of flaps throughout it. And then here on this page it says, who's brown and furry in the pink car? And you can kind of see some brown ears sticking out. They pull the flap and can see the bears in that one. And then on this page, they have to find these things in the forest and say what color it is. So the mushrooms right here are hiding under that flap, and they say those are red. And then here at the end of the book, they have some color mixing for the kids to practice as well. Here is our On the Construction Site Shine a Light book, and this is a really neat book for kids who are really into construction and trucks and building things. So you read the information on the page and then you take a flashlight or you hold it up to a light and you shine it behind the page and new things start to appear in the picture. So very fun and educational too. This book is called A Squirrel's Tale, and I think this is an absolute must for little kids. There's also a similar one that has a mouse in it, but you take the squirrel and you go along the dotted line, and there are spots on each page for the squirrel to go through, and there is a storyline to go along with it. And as you can see, he goes through the holes on each of these pages and pops out on the other one. Here is Peek Inside Animal Homes, and this is a nice, thick, and sturdy book. This is a really nice book that teaches kids about the different animal homes. And what I love about this is that there's tons of flaps with lots of information, but there's also little holes on many of the pages, which makes it a little bit more fun and engaging for the kids. And even some of the flaps have little holes in them as well. So definitely a fun book that also teaches you a lot about the different animals in their homes. Here is Animal Stories for Little Children, and I'll flip through this quickly so you can get an idea of what the inside looks like. There's multiple stories in here, gorgeous illustrations, and there's not too much text on each of the pages. Usborne has so many different sticker books. This is an example of a first sticker book about animals, and the first sticker books are going to be a little bit more simpler than some of the others. I love how there's a little bit of a story in it, and within the words it kind of gives you some directions too. So for example, it says grassy plains. It's very hot in the African grasslands. Where could you put a muddy hippopotamus? And here it says, a snowy world. It's a cold, icy day in the Arctic. Can you put a polar bear on the snow? Here in the middle are the stickers. And then here at the end are more pages for the stickers. So I really love how once your child is done with the stickers, they can still enjoy the book because there's some good words and things that you can read in it. Here is the big book of big tractors, and we have quite a few other big books. These are really neat because they have these fold-out pages that make everything on the inside really big. And I love how there's nice pockets of information in here, so it's enough to spark interest and learn, but not too much to get overwhelmed. So these big books are definitely very popular and really fun. Here are two of our first experiences books. This one is a school one and a dentist, and we also have a doctor one and a going on a plane one. These are great books for kids who are about ready to experience something for the first time. And these books are also dual readers, so the top line is great for a young reader to read, and then a parent can read the bottom line. And then also, if you want to read a shorter story, you can just read the top line and the stories will make complete sense. So definitely a great series of books. Here is one of our look inside books. This one is about airports, and we have lots of others just like this one. There are tons of interactive flaps throughout the whole book. Some of them have flaps inside of flaps, or they have, turning wheel here. And on another page, there's a tab that your child can pull that launches an airplane into the sky. I love how there's bits and pieces of reading and information throughout the book, but there's not too much of it, so it's not overwhelming for the kids. And here and in a few other places throughout the book, they kind of have, the sequence of some of the things that happen at the airport. And so I'll read through this to give you an example. This says, first, boxes of cargoes arrive at the airport in trucks. Then they're loaded onto a conveyor belt, which rises up. The boxes slide along the belt, the nose of the plane lifts up, and the cargo goes inside. So I love how, these flaps tell the sequence of getting all of this stuff into the plane. And we actually bought this book for my boys because they were going on their first plane trip, and it kept them occupied on the plane. They loved reading through it and opening all the flaps, and even since coming home, they really enjoy looking at the book, and it really keeps their attention for a really long time. Here's a cute little book called Animally, and it's an I love you book, and I'll read some of the pages to you. It says, I love you hugely like a whale. I love you shyly like a quail. I love you cleverly like a fox. I love you powerfully like an ox. So as you can hear, there's a lot of great rhyming in there. It uses great adverbs and talks about all these different animals. So definitely a really cute, cuddly, I love you type book.